Mighty Mercury.
Mighty Mercury.
Is up, Mercury fam? Presented to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Mercury win. I'm in good spirits. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I've been yelling in Noah's ear since the minute I walked in the door. So shout out to Noah for being our producer in time of need when Kevin turns into Mr. Vacation the minute he gets on the Mercury beat with us. Noah, looks like you're about to say something in response to my...
True. Kevin kind of took an L tonight, missing this game.
This is a historic game from the Phoenix Mercury, and I'm going to get into it quite a bit. We're going to have Stephen live from the arena following post-game press conference, so he's still talking to the players right now, so we'll get clips from him here shortly, but I'm just going to get into it. Obviously, you guys can see on the screen, the Mercury beat the Liberty 106-91, and this is the second Mercury victory over the Liberty in the last week and a half. And the crazy part about this is that I don't think you guys understand. This is a second victory over the reigning WNBA champions in a week and a half. And they have the longest win streak in the WNBA right now. And actually, before we get into this anymore, I have to ask Mr. Christoph U of A up there, Girth Jr. with the picture. You made your profile picture on Twitter. There he is. Man, Erika Day. Yeah, listen, agreed. I wanted to start it early, but we're waiting on Mr. Cutesy Legs, as Noah fondly likes to call him.
Yes.
He is nodding his head about that. But listen, I wanted to start the show early, but as I was sitting here waiting, I see you tweet me, and I see my picture with no eyebrows in response. And so I didn't realize that you guys had captured that image. You know, I knew it was out there for the public to see, but dang. You know, Mercury victory, Erika L is what it feels like today. I got to be honest, you know, Erika L. But it's okay. Erika L Day is my name, so it's fine. But nonetheless, Mercury wins. So yeah, let's get into it a little bit. I want to start with the 18 made threes because that's kind of the easy place to start, honestly. In the prior game versus the Chicago Sky, the Mercury set a new franchise record for threes made in the game with 17. And now we are one game later, and they are setting a new franchise record with threes made with 18. And honestly, they probably would have hit 19 or 20 had Nate Tibbetts left the starters in the game, but it was too far gone. So, you know, it was just kind of thing. And we're going to get into the X factor of the game, but you'll see, you know, Alyssa Thomas, the queen of flirting with a triple-double. It stinks when you're just like one rebound away or one assist away, and this like consistently happens to Alyssa Thomas. And so honestly, let's just go ahead and get into the X factor of the game today. Alyssa Thomas with 17 points, 9 rebounds, 15 assists. And actually, she only played 31 minutes, so Noah's a little bit of a liar on the graphic here, but that's okay. Like I said, Noah's new. He's learning. He's actually, you know, I would argue the most bought in on Mercury basketball of all the producers. So we'll let this one slide. I'll be honest. But no, Alyssa Thomas, if you listen to this show, you know that Alyssa Thomas can do it all. But then if you just stat watch, you know Alyssa Thomas can do it all. And if you're actually watching the games, you know Alyssa Thomas can do it all. Alyssa Thomas is an MVP caliber player. And I was actually just telling Noah a little bit about the acquisition of Alyssa Thomas and, you know, what played into it. And we are so lucky in Phoenix to have her. And Tanika in the chat says MVP her. And like literally at this point, what she's been able to do in such a short time, 15 games here in Phoenix, is unprecedented. Granted, you know, she was very successful in Connecticut, but I feel like with the shooters that she has around her here in Phoenix, her talent is just able to be showcased on a whole new level. And so, yeah, Alyssa Thomas has just been absolutely unreal so far in her, I'm a liar, 16 games here in Phoenix. Yeah, it's just been a really fun sight to see, like, her really find herself. Obviously, today was the first game with the full big three in PHX Arena. It was Kahleah Copper's first time playing in Phoenix, and I feel like that in itself brought a whole new edge to this team. Like when you have a player making their return in their home arena, you just bring a whole new attitude to the game, but also they're playing the reigning champions. And, so there's just all these moving parts into this game that really made it what it was. The Mercury didn't lead from start to finish, but they did seemingly kind of have control of the game from start to finish. Last week, when the Mercury played the New York Liberty, they forced 20 turnovers, which is extremely high for the Liberty. Like, honestly, an unrealistic amount for the Liberty to keep up with. Also, they're not going to consistently have 20 turnovers. They're just too good at ball handling. They have Natasha Cloud as their point guard. You guys know her very well. She got a warm welcome back in the Valley tonight, which made me really happy. Not gonna lie, kind of brought a tear to my eye. I was telling Noah my favorite joke about still being at the restaurant. He didn't really quite get it.
No, but I do now. So there's that.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, we're really getting there with him, And with as many vacations as I'm sure Kevin is going to be taking, I feel like Noah is going to be the right man to step into the job anyways. Like, Damon's cool, don't get me wrong, but like, I just feel like Noah's probably the guy. But I'm a little mad at him because, fun fact, he plays these dang pregame noises. And you know what he didn't do today? No pregame noises other than when I first got in here. I feels a little wrong, Noah.
Well, here we go.
Woo! Oh my gosh, she's playing sounds. I don't know if you guys can hear them. I hope so, but
probably faintly
hear them. Yeah, Jack of all trades, and the T is silent. I kind of love that. Holmes 7073. I know we've got a lot of new listeners in here, so be sure to subscribe to PHNX Sports while you're here. Become a diehard. It should be the first link in the description box below. Noah, I don't know if we're still running the NBA draft promo, but I'm sure. Historically speaking, PHNX likes to run promos through Friday evening, so I would think that that's still live.
Sure.
Woo! Okay, so click that first link in the description. Become a diehard. Amanda, I didn't see you at the game tonight. Very disappointed, but I do hope to see you guys all there on Sunday when the Mercury are playing the Lynx, I believe. I shouldn't probably know that information as the podcast host for PHNX_Mercury, but nonetheless, I do want to get to this super chat from Ken Mercury 0. Game of the season for me, Unicorn MVP. And listen, I haven't even said Satou Sabli's name yet, which is actually what's so crazy. Our writer, David, I don't want to butcher his last name.
It's David S. Pumpkins.
David S. Pumpkins looks at me when we're in the third quarter and he's like, man, Satou with 19 points? Who knew? And that's what's weird about this team is Satou's points are sneaky. You got Kit Laksa throwing up these absolutely diabolical 3-pointers. And Noah's making a face because it is a diabolical.
Kit, amazing.
Is she your favorite player?
Yes.
Oh, thank
my
gosh.
God.
Wait until you get the Lexi Held experience, Noah. Just you wait. Lexi collapsed. She has a collapsed lung from the last time the Mercury played the Liberty. It's terrible. Brianna Stewart deserves jail time for the elbow she threw our girls' way, but that's okay. We'll forgive and forget because we got the dub both times. Ha ha ha. Joke's on you.
Bing bong.
And actually, oh yeah. I don't know if you guys have heard, but these are my winning Thunder steaks. It is a good day to be here in PHNX headquarters in downtown Phoenix, and then it's an even better day if you're in the freaking Studio K, sponsored by Circle K. Like, I just can't imagine a better place to be. Do you agree or not agree, Noah?
I mean, couldn't agree more.
Oh my gosh. I feel like we're just on some insane vibes right now. So I've talked about Alyssa. I've talked about Satou. I didn't even say Satou's stat line, though, so that's unfortunate of me. 25 points on 7 for 10 from 3, 8 for 14 from the field, and 6 rebounds with 3 assists and 2 steals. The 2 steals is actually the loudest part of her game, I feel like, a lot of the nights. But tonight, her pull-up 3, her handles have improved in the 15 games here in Phoenix, or 16, I'm sorry. But I remember in game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, honestly, a lot of our commenters were even talking about Satou's ball handling skills, and it's just improved so much. I don't know if it's a product of playing alongside someone of the caliber of Alyssa Thomas or even Kahleah Copper, who has some killer, nasty handles. But I feel like she's really learned a lot here in her time in Phoenix, so I'm really excited to watch that continue. I also obviously got to talk about Ka's stat line. It keeps looking like Noah's about to say something. It stresses me out. Okay. But Kahleah Copper with 5 for 14 from the field with 12 points, 4 rebounds, and an assist. The thing with Kahleah that I'm going to say is that I implore you to have some patience with Kahleah Copper's game. She is one of the most physical players in the league. And so to have her come back from a back injury or knee, whichever it was, because quite frankly, it was probably both, to watch her come back from that, it's not that she's not still the same player. It's that everyone else has had 16 games to get into basketball playing shape, with the exception of Natasha Mack, who we're also going to get into in a very hilarious way here in just a second. But with Ka, I fully expect her to be back to her full self right after the All-Star break is what I'm honestly going to fairly say for her. But I don't. The thing with her is also, like last year, Ka's first year in Phoenix, her usage rate was absolutely ridiculous. Out of this world. Every clutch shot, the ball was always in Ka's hands. And she was always penetrating. She was always getting to the rim. And again, her physicality is really what was helping the team last year. And so this year, she needs to find a way to get that physicality back, but she doesn't have to do it at the rate she was doing last year. So while I do expect Ka's game to get back to exactly what it was last year, I don't expect her to always have the ball in her hands in the same way because I don't know if you guys remember the X Factor of the game that we literally just showed like 10 minutes ago. Alyssa Thomas with 15 assists, 9 rebounds, and 17 points. The woman is just playing some out of this world basketball. And so taking the ball out of Alyssa Thomas's hands, in my head, seems like one of the dumbest decisions that could be literally ever made. Noah, I know I sent you that tweet about Sami Whitcomb. Anyway, we can throw that on the screen because I do want to talk about Sami real quick. She finished tonight with 15 points on 5 for 7 from 3. And over her last 4 games, she's got 16.5 points per game on 18 for 34 shooting on threes, which is 52.9%. 4 straight games scoring at least 15 points and 4 wins. And so while I do believe that Alyssa Thomas is the true X factor for this team night in and night out, as far as shooters go, there is not really anyone more dependable on the team than Sami Whitcomb. She has been absolutely shooting lights out from 3 for this team all year. And to the Dome 765's point, it kind of gives this overwhelming feeling that, man, we're going to win something really big. And I want to get to the super chat from Be Patient, See Love. I saw Noah laugh at it and I haven't even read it fully. So is it okay if I dump Booker for now? For babes, for Satou Sabally, that is my baby. I'll be back for Booker in October though. I love Noah. Babes, go heart. Any response for your biggest fan, Noah?
First of all, new name, Be Patient, See Love. It used to be
Kind.
Calm, See Clearly.
Oh, okay.
So I appreciate the name change. Love you too. You're the best. GOAT. Glad to see you again.
Man, we got a lot of new people in here. So again, I just want to remind you guys, give a thumbs up, 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Appreciate you guys all joining on this fine Friday evening. I cannot envision a better way to be spending my Friday night than to be talking about this win over the New York Liberty. And I said we were going to talk about Natasha Mack, and we are. And was it Natasha Mack's best game in a Mercury jersey? No, we literally watched her ball out against A'ja Wilson literally 1 year ago. So it's a high bar for Natasha Mack. I feel like a lot of the people that just generally watch the Mercury from afar probably don't see our expectations for Mack as fair, but Mack is a super great player and she will continue to get better. She's similarly coming off an injury and finding her way in terms of being in basketball shape. So I'm really not worried about Mack. She's been great on the defensive pressure and I've loved having her rim protection. We got Derek the Mayor in here. I know he's got something positive to say about the Phoenix Mercury.
Why is your team so good? I don't know what that's like.
It's really hard.
A team franchise record for 3-pointers tonight?
And I want you to know, they also just set the franchise record in the game previous to this one.
They're unstoppable. Unstoppable.
I'm taking us against everybody, man. Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah, we need to put some respect on the Mercury. I feel like this was a very much, they beat the Liberty on the road. And I feel like the general population was like, man, is this sustainable? Is this permanent? Is this what the Mercury is actually going to do night in and night out? And I feel like this is the game where it proved to everybody that, hey, not only is this Mercury team here, they're here to stay and they're actually just getting better. They're not it's not one of those situations where it's oh, this team is good and they're going to be high and low. No, they look really, really, really hard to beat. I know we got Stephen about to come in here shortly. But so drop your comments down below. Shout out to the mayor for joining us for just a short second. We got W's in the chat all around from Joel. Pretty, I know Christina Pretty feels the same way. Everyone's honestly just talking about what a good vibe this is, but I haven't even mentioned the fact that this officially moves the Mercury into second in the WNBA standings. Obviously, the Lynx in first still. I think their record, I just was looking at it. 13-2. So we're a game and a half behind the Lynx, which I feel like is a really good place to be. What's up, Leah? Thanks for joining the chat today. Oh my gosh. I don't know if we can even put that super chat on the screen. But anyways, this puts the Mercury in second in the standings. And I don't know if you guys need to be reminded of the main major agenda I've been having over the last 2 weeks, and it's Nate Tibbetts coaching in the All-Star game. And I don't know if you have checked, but being second in the standings certainly helps my case for Nate Tibbetts being a coach in the All-Star game. And wouldn't it just be nice if Team Nafisa is coached by freaking Girl Dad? Like, after all the slander and dirt they threw on his name over the last 15 months, 16 months, which I put up a Twitter thread about it today. Shout out to interns for putting this together. The graphics are incredible. They're amazing. And they talk about Nate Tibbetts' journey to, coaching in Phoenix. And it's very unique. And I don't think he gets enough credit for being such a great coach. Obviously, we talk about the Alyssa Thomas treatment and how she makes every single coach she's ever played for look like an incredible coach. And a lot of this is that, but you can't negate the fact that they're winning games with AT, without AT, with Copper, without Copper. I mean, literally the longest standing win streak in the WNBA right now. And it's kind of hard. The next best is the Mystics, and they're on a 3-game win streak. Erika, who is Toto? Man, this is strange. This is the same person with my eyebrowed picture as their face. Toto is my childhood dog, which is interesting. But yeah, well done, interns. Shout out to them for putting together that hella great graphic. I don't know where you got my childhood dog's name, but I feel like if you are on my mom's Facebook, please get off of it. I would really appreciate that. I don't ask for a lot of privacy, but my mom's Facebook does seem like one of those places where you can bear to stay away from it. But anyways, back to the game. Oh, Be Calm C Booker gave us a new chat. Is this? I'm confused. Did he change his name back? Oh no, Noah's putting his headset back on.
Not sure. He might have.
Man, okay. Well, Espo is nosy. He's like the sky. He's super.
He's lit.
He's lit. My man is lit. Love him for that. And then this other super chat from my guy, Becom C Booker. Can the Suns steal Nate? Brother, no. He be on Butts respect. I'm not exactly sure what that final half of that means.
It's a be calm euphemism.
Okay. Well, I understand your, desire to have Nate with the Suns, but unfortunately, I fear that he is staying with the Mercury for as long as possible. I did see, and I didn't really want to talk about it until she was back on the home bench, but I did see Christy Tolliver back on the Mercury sidelines. She's not sitting like front row the way she would normally would be, but it does give me good, high hopes that she's soon going to be fully returning to her full-time role with the Mercury. I can't emphasize enough how important Christy Tolliver is to everything that Nate Tibbetts has built here in Phoenix. And the Dome 765, to answer your question about letting Megan McConnell go, the Phoenix Mercury are still very much going to be supporting Megan in her time in rehab and her injury and things like that. So I'm not super concerned about that. The thing is that they are concerned about injury. And so in the event that, Monique Akoa-Makani twists her ankle or something else were to happen like that in a game, they need someone to be able to play. And right now, specifically with Lexi Held's collapsed lung situation, it does make it kind of hard on the Mercury bench to make sure they have enough, bodies there. you know, a lot of people were talking about depth being a concern for this team, and I don't think I think they've proven that that's not a valid concern anymore. But at the same time, you know, your starting point guard goes down. You don't want to, you know, continue. You want to have someone to be able to come in and fill her place and not feel like it's a liability out there. I'll be interested to see how. If I hadn't said that, I would have been able to say it. But the Mercury new signing. Kiana Williams, oh my goodness. She won the national championship game in 2021 with Stanford, and then also was drafted to the Seattle Storm in the same draft class as Ari McDonald. So I believe in 2022 or 23. I'm sorry, but she's a second year veteran technically. And so they could get her on a cheaper salary. It's very complicated the way the money works, but long story short, the Mercury still have cap space and they have a healthy body on the bench just in case someone goes down and they, you know, need someone to play. Props to Lexi, can't be held for the train trip to NYC. Yeah, we actually haven't talked about that on this show at all. With Lexi Held's freaking collapsed lung, she wasn't able to fly back to Phoenix from New York, and she had to make a 3-day train trip, and that I can't express enough how terrible that sounds to me personally. I don't want to sit in a car for 1 day, let alone a train for 3. So shout out to the Mercury for making that happen, getting her back here so that she can heal up and hopefully return to playing basketball for us ASAP. No Rocky. Another super chat from BComC Booker. Bro, we're just getting paid by BComC Booker today. Tell Max to cancel the sponsors because BComC Booker actually has us covered. Nate has this energy. He commands the team. I love that you think that because so many people on my timeline talk about the fact that Alyssa Thomas runs this team, and while she does, I saw someone else tweet that she runs this team like the Navy, and I actually laughed out loud. But it is true. Nate does have control of this team. He has the complete buy-in. Me and Jeff Metcalf, if you're familiar, he's been covering the Mercury since literally the very first year of the WNBA's existence. Jeff Metcalf is the longest tenured reporter in Phoenix. It's very interesting to talk to him sometimes because, like I said, he's just been here since the beginning. But no, he definitely... Yeah. See, Noah, I told you I was going to break it at least once today.
Hey, that's all good.
That's fine. Oh my gosh, Steven's about to come on, which is actually perfect timing because I'm actually about to break in half. I think we'll talk to Steven right after this really quick ad break here on the PHNX Mercury podcast. Sorry. Guys, I know you've heard about Mountain America double rewards through July 31st because I've talked about it extensively on the PHNX Mercury podcast. So I know you're familiar with it, but I'll talk about it again. They are committed to helping their more than 1 million members at their 100 branches throughout the West. You can get 2 times the points on rewards credit card purchases through July 31st. Oh my goodness. You can use your Mountain America rewards card and watch the points pile up. It's perfect for gas, groceries, travel, home projects, and all other purchases. I don't know if you guys have heard about my orange tree dying, but I'm going to be using my double rewards to get a new orange tree because I'm pressed about it. So, but you can do the same thing I am, and you can get the double rewards through July 31st. All you have to do is go to macu.com/double. Loans on approved credit. Offer can be changed or withdrawn at any time. Limited time offer. This is terms and conditions do apply. Circle K. Listen, guys. I don't know if you're familiar with my game regarding Circle K, but every time there's a fuel day, like there was yesterday, we're getting 40 cents off fuel. 40 cents a gallon, mind you. I text every single person in my phone. In fact, probably should get Noah's phone number so that way when it comes through, I can text Noah the fact that we're getting 40 cents off gas. Even though Noah probably gets the same text I do. I would gander, considering we're both Inner Circle Rewards members.
Of course.
So he better be getting that same 40 cent off text. But yeah, you get 25 cents off a gallon for your first 5 fill-ups, and then 3 cents a gallon on every fill-up after that. And you can work your way up into the 5 cent gallon group, just like me, Kevin, Noah. I'm sure Kevin got so much discounted gas on his drive to Atlanta, you know? Anyways, I feel you should go to the Inner Circle Rewards app, download that bad boy, put in your email, put in your phone number, and then boom, you're in part of the Inner Circle Rewards. You get all this access to free stuff, super cool coupons, and the gas rewards just honestly, it speaks for itself. So shout out to the Inner Circle Rewards program. Shout out to Circle K. As you can see, we really back the K around here. So I think Steven's about to get in here. I don't know. We're waiting still. So I'm going to address this maybe last super chat. Actually, I'm going to wait on that last super chat because that's for my guy. So I'm going to make sure I save that for him. Man, I just got the ESPN notification. I feel like they just were notified that the Mercury are setting franchise records. And wouldn't you like to know? Wouldn't you like to be familiarized? I feel like maybe you should come to a game, cover it. You see it for your own two eyes. I don't know. This just my take on the thought, Shout out to you guys for being in the chat. I'm really excited that the Phoenix Mercury were able to pull this win off versus the Liberty. I don't think you guys can quite feel my energy through the screen. When Stephen gets back on, I will be thundersticking again. So I do apologize in advance to Noah's ears and maybe all of yours as well. My biggest takeaway from today's game was, again, wow, yes, I was super. Their offense did look very, very fluid, but above all else, it still always goes back to the defense for me with this team. So I know Steven's getting ready to be on here, so I don't want to talk about too much before he gets here, but the defensive pressure is just something that really can't be worked around with this team. And when you're trying to pick your poison on the offensive end and then you have to go work against the same team on the defensive end, everything just becomes that much more challenging. But something that's not challenging is getting SPG, my QB1, PG1, cutesy legs on and off the field, in and out of the studio. I've been informed that that's what your name is cutesy legs. Welcome to the show.
It's not.
It is.
It's not. It's not. I don't care what Noah says.
What about what BComC Booker says? Because my guy BComC Booker says, cutesy legs, I missed you so much. Heart, all at caps.
Appreciate you, BComC, clearly, or the way it's showing everybody's actual ads now today for whatever reason is saying BComC Booker. Either way makes sense. I think Noah would attest to that making sense for the name, but I appreciate it for sure. How's everything been so far?
Well, are you ready?
Talk to me.
I don't know, Steven. You tell me how it's been. Mercury win. What are the vibes like right now in PHX Arena? I mean, the game's been over like almost an hour at this point. What's going on?
Yeah, it was super high energy. Everybody was clearly riding on a little bit of a high from another dominant win. And everything starting with their identity side of the ball on defense, and that's setting the table for everything that they did in a historic fashion on the offensive end to one-up everything that they did in Saturday's, the last time they played in Saturday's win. So, everybody was riding on a little bit of a high. Not overly confident, not too high, but very much aware of the kind of if the last time they beat the New York Liberty was kind of a we're here moment, this was a kind of we're here to stay type of statement that I feel like they made in front of the home crowd this time.
That's it. Almost verbatim exactly what I said is like, this is the we're here to stay game and we're not going anywhere. And if anything, the team is just getting better and better and better. And that's what we've kind of seen night after night. And I do want to get into your clips, but I think we should do the one word burn first. I think, get the vibes out there, get the vibes right amongst the trio. I heard through the grapevine that maybe Noah, Mr. I don't know what you guys call him on the Sunspot, but I feel like if he's giving you this nickname of cutesy legs, I feel like it's only right that you give him an egregious nickname back,
No, I don't indulge or participate in that. I leave that to Noah and Noah and the crew. Yeah. And I'll leave that at that. So if you want to give him a nickname, feel free to. He's very nicknameable, I will say that, but that's not my steez.
Boo.
It's okay. I'm gonna have a nickname for him real shortly. So let's get these one word burns on the screen. I'm gonna go through them real quick. My one word is egregious, and it was going to be ridiculous, but egregious felt more on brand for me because what this team is doing is just like, it is egregious to everyone else. And this whole like pick your poison thing that Stephen and I have been talking about at length over the last 3 months is just being put on showcase like night after night after night every time the team plays. And this was the win that really just made me feel like, man, this team is the real freaking deal. And that's the reasoning for my word. I do have to take a moment to laugh at the fact that the way that he scratched out Kevin's face and wrote his name like that, it's pretty hateful to Kevin, man. That's tough.
Yeah, we got low key producer beef behind the scenes that y'all are just not privy to. But I'm here to let y'all know they be going at it for sure. And this is definitely a nod at at Kevin for his the timing of him leaving the absence for us. But yeah, for me it's disruptive. Um, Again, not unlike the last episode that we recorded on Monday, where we were talking about the game from Thursday that the Mercury played a little bit from last week. But this team just sending New York's offense off script. They want to get into dribble handoffs and they want to move the ball to the second side. They want to send Sabrina off of all types of variations of screens. If they are able to do it, they're not doing it comfortably and they're not doing it at the tempo of play that they want to do it at. So the offense is slower. The reads they're making are slower. Everything is kind of in quicksand almost, if you will. And that leads to the Mercury getting deflections from switching or deflections from hedging on screens and just really sending their offense off script. And that doing that again, like we always talk about, kills getting 3 stops in a row. I lost track at one point. They were up to like 8 or 9 in this game, if I remember correctly. And again, there's a sweet spot number where if they get to a specific number with the kills that we speak to, and their offense is scoring in the ways in which it was today, they're simply indefensible. And when they start flirting with double-digit kills on a game-by-game basis, those are the games they simply don't lose. You take the template from the game in New York last week where they knocked down significant number less of threes that they typically do on average, and the 3-point percentage is not even close to where it is on average either. How can you find a way to get wins when you're not knocking down threes and you're not even making layups to the extent that you typically do? That's what your defense. And that's where the identity is for this team. That's where their foundation is laid. And because they can always rely on that part in particular, they'll always have a chance to win and potentially even win big because so what, they might not be scoring for a stretch or they might have a stretch where they're turning the ball over. If the other team is not scoring, what impact is that having? And that feels like that's kind of the way they're leading the dance in multiple respects as far as their game-by-game process.
All right, Mr. Golly G, time for a little explanation from you, bro.
Well, I mean, this was probably the 3rd or 4th game that I've watched this season, but this was my reaction to Alyssa Thomas just tossing the ball to Satou, just cradling it, smiling as she shoots a 3 at the top of the 3-point line. And I was like, golly gee, what a team.
Oh, man. Yeah, Mr. Golly G might be here to stay. Dude cracks me up. And then I wanted to talk about one more thing really, really quick before we get into your clips, because I know you got some really good clips from the pressers tonight. But I know one thing that you didn't get, well, just didn't. We're not going to talk about the clip super at length here, but this did move the Mercury into the 2nd spot in the WNBA standings, which does, at this current moment, put Nate Tibbetts in a spot where he could potentially be coaching an all-star game. And I know he kind of laughed and said, "Don't tell my wife that." That's absolutely hilarious. He's so funny for that. But do you think that there's a good chance of that happening? And like, just what are you looking for in terms of like him coaching an all-star game?
Yeah, I think it's a great job. There's a great chance that it actually happens. It feels like no one else is more appropriate than him, considering he's likely leading all coach of the year races that people that have the privilege of voting on would be able to. If the season ended now, I don't think there's another choice in the matter when you add the context of all of the newness around, multiple rookies staking a significant claim to the rotation, multiple injuries to the top end of his rotation at the beginning of the season. Sammy Wickham not being able to knock down threes early in the season as well. There's a ton of adversity against this team early this season, and they're just now starting to get to a stretch where it's less adverse. But even with that, they're still not whole because who could arguably be their sixth player of the year right now because she spent more time off the bench than starting, and Lexi Held is not even available because of the collapsed lung that she's dealing with right now. Which it was good to see her on the bench and with the team standing up and cheering. From Nate and everything he said pregame, it sounds like she's turning corners, but there's no update as far as when she'll actually be back. But that just speaks to the positive complementary stubbornness that this team has. I had clips from Kahleah Copper post game on Saturday where I asked her, what did the win on Saturday say about what this team is and this new culture that they're establishing? And she said essentially in so many words that they're not a team that's going to allow for adversity to dictate to them. They're going to always bring their own resistance to adversity and allow for that to lead the way. And needless to say, even with New York having some positive moments in the first half, they never allow for it to sway them away from what it is that their identity is, which is getting stops and doing so demonstratively.
Well, and I'm glad we were able to talk about that real quick because I just feel like the culture on this team has taken a real, like, I won't say 180 because I don't think necessarily that the culture was bad last year. That's not all what I'm trying to imply. But the culture this year is just, I spoke so much about the will to win last year, and this team just has it night in and night out. And when you have that from the top of your starting lineup, whether that's Alyssa Thomas or whoever you want to start with, all the way down to MJ Musa at the end, like it really changes everything for the team. So I want to get into the clips now. I know Noah said he's got them ready for you. So, Stephen, you can go ahead and queue up. I know that you probably have some extra good questions after this Mercury W.
Well, there was an increased media presence for today's game.
Shocking.
So yeah. We'll go ahead and start off Noah with the first one that you posted for us, which is Nate Tibbetts just speaking to what it's like to be coaching this team and kind of the culture that they've established.
You can't put a finger on chemistry and trust and that stuff. Just kind of happens, and it's happened extremely quick for us. We want to hold on to that as long as we can. It's easy when things are going well, right? I still think for us to get to be the best version of us, we're going to have to go through some adversity. Hopefully some of that adversity has been injuries instead of through losses. Hopefully we've learned through some wins. But yeah, we've really bonded as a group, right? They bought into each other and what we're trying to do, and it's a fun group to coach because there's not people, that just bought in, and it's a credit to them.
I think that's probably the easiest and best way to surmise it, honestly. Everybody's bought in. They're all moving on the same accord. The hot word in Suns land right now is being aligned. This Mercury team feels like it's been aligned since the day that they stepped foot in their new practice. Well, it's still new. It's not the first season, but their new practice facility with this brand new roster. A lot of newness around the team, and the fact that they've all been so connected to the extent where when they're met with adversity in any game, they've always kind of had their own type of resistance to bring back to it. It feels like this team is, in the most literal sense, a team, a true team. They celebrate each other's successes loudly, and they do so in a way that speaks to just kind of the person-to-person connection that's going on with the team. So they're in a very special place right now. And it still doesn't feel like this is like they're blooming too early or they're peaking out too soon. It still feels like there's a lot more growth for this team. And again, the fact that this is game 4 where Kahleah Copper has been in the rotation for them, they still have a lot of growth to go. And the fact that they're at this level already, speaks to where it is that they're kind of headed and what they're working towards, which is towards something that's historic in terms of a Mercury sense and honestly unprecedented regarding so much newness and also having so many quote unquote WNBA inexperienced level players being in the main rotation.
Well, and Kahleah Copper didn't score for the entire first quarter of the game, but that's not going to be a common occurrence like in 2 weeks. And I was talking about her trying to get back into basketball shape, and a lot of these players, most of them, with the exception of Natasha Mack and a little bit of Alyssa Thomas because she missed a few games there, but all of them have played 16 games now. And I was talking to Jeff Metcalf before the game about this, but I get worried when they have such a big break between games, but they came out just as hot. And to your point, every single three that was put up in the first quarter, whether it was by someone in the starting rotation or by someone that was just coming in to sub, Ka was throwing them up and giving it a little extra for the bench every time, whether it was her bucket or somebody else's. And so, there's still, to Steven's point, an entire new level of this team to be unlocked once Ka is at her full power. And honestly, when what's that thing in the Marvel movies, the thing you snap? The gauntlet, the Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah. She's, I feel, the last stone in the Infinity Gauntlet. And then obviously we still have to snap it. But seriously, when that stone gets put in, this team is really going to have a whole new level to be unlocked. And the general population already thinks at this level that they've reached now is a whole new level. So it's just a really, really fun time to be around Mercury basketball.
It is. It really is. And if you haven't gotten around to a game yet and you tap in with our podcast frequently, I would highly advise finding a way, if you can, to get out to a PHX Arena and check out a game in person, because not only is the in-game experience different, and that's a shout out to the non-team side of things, but for the team itself, they play to it and they give the atmosphere and the environment more and more of a reason to stay constantly engaged. When you're knocking down threes ad nauseum, when you're causing deflections and getting multiple stops in a row, and opponents are just not having fun. Meanwhile, you're in transition and it's Alyssa Thomas and her ponytail just bouncing up in the air time and time because she's taking off in transition, leading yet another transition fast break in some capacity. It's just different. It's really different. And to that point, the defense setting the tone for most of the threes that they're taking and making. It's special. I've said it before, and I continue to say it. This is the best defense in the WNBA. From a literal sense in terms of what they do to their opponents, to their adaptability, and the ways in which they force opponents to just be uncomfortable. New York had yet another game where they just didn't look comfortable in the half court with their offense against this Phoenix Mercury team. And I think that's a testament to Alyssa Thomas and the kind of tone that she's setting, but also to Satou, because she's getting a lot of attention for a ton of different things. But it is her three-point shooting that's kind of setting the tone for a lot of maybe kind of honestly contradicting a lot of the conversations that took place in the preseason, where she said she wants to take double-digit threes and Nate said he wants to see her take double-digit threes. So here's Satou just kind of speaking to the confidence of where she's at with her three ball, knocking down 7 of 10 today, and the work that goes into that.
I feel like those two beat me on the first one in, so yeah, I'm like, they're there, the cards are there. No, I don't know, I just really work hard. And I really enjoy just playing alongside amazing players, and then things come easier. When you have greatness around you, things come easier, and if you keep working on your game and never stop believing in yourself, then you'll just have your moment to shine.
So with every practice that I've been at, well, first of all, even before that, I think it's funny that she gets complimented for being the cliche first one in, last one out. And you see the immediate reaction from the facial expression from Alyssa Thomas and Sami Wickham. Like, oh, I don't know about that first one in part. And then immediately in Satou's response, she's like, yeah, I don't know about the first one in part. She's talking about pulling up to the practice facility and those two cars are already comfortably parked. But I can attest to her being the last one to leave the court more often than not. She's getting up anywhere from 100 to 150 more three-point attempts after practice. This is after whatever it was that they had going on, after going through shooting drills with Kahleah Copper and Sometimes with some of the other Mercury players, she sometimes shoots with Kit Loxa or Monica Koa-Makani. She'll stay after and then do individual shooting after doing competition shooting with some of her teammates. And that to that point, we posted from our Mercury account earlier this week, Satou putting the work in and showing her going through what looked like a cold stretch from deep over a couple of games over this last stretch, but especially at that practice in particular. Instead of just walking out and leaving the gym and just being okay with what took place at practice, no, she stays, and like I said, she's by herself with her coaches and just getting up shots, and just getting up shots from all of the spots around the arc. You don't get to the performance that she had tonight without trusting, first of all, the shot profile that your new head coach is challenging you to align yourself with, because he sees greatness in you and sees more greatness that he can get out of you if you kind of align with it. And then the other big part with that is being able to and being willing to put the work in for it. It's one thing to accept it. It's another thing to meet that challenge on a daily basis. And it really feels like she's doing that. We get results like we got tonight, largely because of her buy-in and her ability to just adapt and adjust and be challenged and accept it.
Man, we got Kevin in the chat right now as if he's not on vacation. Dude, get the heck out of here. Leave a like and get the heck out of here. And to that point, there's almost 50 people in here right now and only 23 likes on the video. And I find that unacceptable. So drop a like right this freaking second, or else I'm gonna send Kevo after you. Apparently, he's upgraded his name to PHNX Kevin. I don't know who the heck that is. I only know Kevo Post, but nonetheless, I guess I'll have to deal with it.
It changed for whatever reason. YouTube changed everybody's ads from the username to the actual ad that they have on their YouTube profile. So everybody's names look a little different today.
I'm changing my name to be something stupid, so watch out for that. It's not gonna be Erika Day anymore. But yeah, you better smash the like button. Per the Dome 765, he said it, not me. I don't make the rules around here. I just enforce them. But back to the basketball, Stephen. So sorry about that.
Nah, you good. Noah, we can go ahead and we can cue up the Sami quote that we got, because Sami obviously spearheading a lot of the successes in a literal all-time great status that they've enjoyed the last couple of games. As she's found her stride, everybody else has kind of risen with her in terms of the 3-point taking and 3-point making. And Sami had a lot to say about the process and just the way that the team is kind of cohesively rising together within that. So here's Sami Wickham speaking to the 3-point prowess of this Mercury team.
Yeah, I think it's massive for us. It's a big part of, I think, what fuels our offense in general. We know we're going to generate really good threes. Obviously, it's great when they're going in, but for us, like AT said, it's about getting really good open looks, the best shot.
We went at 40, right?
We're not always focused on the sort of result of them. It's can we get those shots? And, they're going to drop eventually. So we're able to do that then when we get stops. So that's been our biggest focus, I think, just getting stops so we can run.
Yeah, so to that point, Erika, you ready to do a little bit of math?
A little bit.
Just to provide some context. So we talked about Alyssa Thomas and her assists and the assist points and the 3-point assists and all of that fun stuff with that, right? Just to paint a picture for her dominance as an all-time great playmaker and how the Mercury system and all of the pieces around kind of complement her style of play. So against the Chicago Sky a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago from today, we saw her with 15 assists. We also saw her with 41 assist points created. We also saw her with 11 3-pointers made via assists that came from her passes. You want to know what she did tonight? First of all, do you have a guess at what she did tonight regarding assist points created, and 3-pointers from her passes?
Well, we talked about her 15 assists already. She was the X factor of the game. She's always just right there on that triple-double line, need the one more rebound. You hate to see it. So 15 assists, I'm going to gander 10 of them were on 3-pointers, honestly.
Correct. 10 of them. And you know what that resulted in as far as a number of points from her 3-point assists?
30?
Correct.
Man,
but you know what else?
My God. Tell the masses Erika can do basic math. Holy cow.
Do you know how many total assist points she created today? If she had 30 from threes,
40.
How much more? Yep, you got it.
Dang,
Boom, you're on it.
2
You're on
in
it.
a row.
You're on it.
Dang, so man, you almost would think I went to college or something. This is crazy.
Lastly, who do you think? And I guess this could be a trick question because there's a tie here, so I'll give you that context. What 2 players made the most threes from Alyssa Thomas in tonight's game?
Whew. See, Sammy's a little misleading, so but I'm gonna still say Sami actually. No, Satou, because didn't she have 7 threes tonight?
She did, but remember I told you there's 2.
There's 2 that are the same number.
Yep.
Okay, so
Tied
Sami
at
and
3.
Satou.
You got it. There you go. You 3 for 3.
Boom! 3 in a
3 for
row.
3.
3 for 3.
Yep.
Woo! Don't tell Kevin
Yes.
I beat him in the race.
Yes. So that constant playing off of stops and finding either Alyssa usually either being the reason why you got the stop or her being just grabbing the rebound herself and pushing it in transition. It's a relay race up and down the sidelines and up and down the lanes to fill in transition because everybody knows that if you're able to get to a spot first and Alyssa has the ball, you're probably going to get a wide open 3-point opportunity. When you have all these players that love to take the type of shots that she creates in tandem with other teammates and knowing that if I don't get there first, I'm not going to get this 3-point opportunity. It's almost like a competition in the game where you see Sami and Kit not fighting in a literal sense, but trying to see who can get transition from defense to a spot on the wing on offense while Alyssa's coming up the court. It's funny to watch it kind of happen and develop in real time. And the ways that they're just finding each other for these threes, even in the half court, not just in transition all the time, but the way the ball is moving from the first side to the second side to the third side, and everybody's getting a touch, if not everybody's getting 2 touches, it puts them in positions where defense is just scrambling, and that's where a lot of the wide open catch and shoot 3-point opportunities that they're generating kind of comes from.
I want to get to these super chats from BComC Booker before we finish out these videos because he sent like 5 of them that I have to catch up on real quick. So go off for number 1. Is Stephen off the screen? Where'd he go?
I'm back.
Oh, okay, there he is. Cutesy legs, Demura legs, big body legs. Bring that clips energy. Let God sort them out. Merc up, Suns up, we up. Woo! Fire stash joint 5. I'm not exactly sure what the last 3 words mean, and I feel like maybe I'm scared.
I don't know, but that was maybe the hardest super chat
It was
read
crazy.
I've ever heard. That was pretty fire. That was bars.
Clip that. You ain't solid, ain't valid. You ain't Sabali. I love that. Another $2 from BComC Booker. The team is aligned. Wink, wink. I'm out of this world. Man, we need to get on that aligned thing just like the Suns, man. I like that. And then the last one, to give a huge shout to the fact that I can, in fact, do math. 15 plus 41 plus 3 plus 10 plus 30 plus 40 plus 3 equals 69. Wink, wink.
Nice.
What a show, man. All right, Stephen, we can cap this off with some real basketball talk. What else you got for us from the press conference?
We can go ahead and go to where they were posed. All 3 of Alyssa Thomas, Satou Sabally, and Sami Wickham were available at post game, and they were posed a question about because the team knocked down 17 threes in their most recent game to tonight and Saturday's win against the Chicago Sky, and then obviously doing what they did tonight to one-up themselves historically. They were asked if they've ever seen a shooting performance in back-to-back fashion like the one that they saw tonight. Here's what they had to say in response to that.
Well, it was first time in WNBA history, right? So I guess so no.
Yeah, so you ask yourself if you've seen a 3-point shooting performance in a back-to-back fashion like this in WNBA history. Satou said it best. Satou's a straight shooter. It's the record for a reason. The answer is no, not even close, not even a little bit. And Nate was asked about this. I didn't get the clip for this one just because for timing purposes we can't include everything. But Nate was asked about whether he's seen shooting performances like this before and whether they were not necessarily planning for breaking records, but whether they expected that they would be able to reach these type of shooting heights in a sustained manner. And To answer that question, I immediately thought back to when I talked to him on Saturday after their win against the Sky, and he said, honestly, tonight being Saturday was good, but generally this season we haven't shot the ball as well as I imagine we will down the line. Who knew that down the line would be their very next game, where they go and take what they did in Saturday's win and they just completely demolish it. And it's even more demonstrative of just how good this team is because they're playing to their strengths. It doesn't feel like these are anomaly type of performances because of the sequencing and the setting up of it. A lot of it is coming from them forcing their opponents into stops and in succession with one another, and they're playing off of defense. And what is the one thing, Erika, that they've said all season long is their identity and where they're looking to establish their dominance more than any other spot.
Defense, 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 defense.
So if you're looking at a team that honestly looks like, and statistically going into tomorrow is going to look even more like the best defense in the league, and the defense is what's setting the tone and setting the table for all of the successes that the offense is having, even if it's not necessarily 17, 18 threes being made, who's to say that they're not able to knock down 14, 13 on a consistent basis because of the defense? If the defense is that consistent and they're able to play to that tempo and that pace all the time, or more often than not, that makes it hard to beat this team. And I feel like they really shrink the margins for an opponent to find ways to kind of navigate a game because they're always taking the ball out the net and then they're always playing back with their defense not being set. So this defense is in a special space right now. Also want to get to Nate, where he's talking about just having the team that he has around, and he kind of gets to speaking about Satou and where she's at with her 3-point shooting. So here's Nate just again speaking to the 3-point prowess of the team as a whole.
What we've been talking about is just us having shooters around. I mean, I love that Satou took 10 threes. I love her transition threes. Everyone kind of has their own talent and skill. To me, one of Satou's skills for us is her transition, early threes. AT plays with such force, and she's getting downhill, and if she doesn't like it, she kind of can just turn and find Satou trailing, and I want her to keep shooting those shots.
And again, it's talking about setting the tone with the defense. He's talking about the trail transition 3-point opportunities that Satou's able to find. You can't get to those trail type of opportunities without your defense getting a stop, you grabbing a rebound, and then you finding a way to get out on a break in some capacity. Erika, 7 threes made for Satou Sabally. 7. What are your thoughts on that? And just generally everything that you've kind of seen from Satou as she's shifted her game, not completely changing it, but just adding more to her bag.
It's funny you asked before, because before you got on the show, I had briefly spoken about it, but David, our writer, looked at me in the third quarter and he's like, dang, Satou with 20 points? And who knew? And it's always kind of sneaky like that because of the way it's accomplished. And so it's been like, this is her 8th game, and it might be more with 20 plus points in a Mercury jersey. I could be wrong about that number. But I mean, she's been the most consistent scorer for the Mercury since the beginning of the season, and it shows in her confidence in the 3-ball. And so that 7 threes is just a product of her hard work and determination, and she recognizes the opportunity that she has here in Phoenix right now with AT, with Ka, with the pieces that they have around them, able to space the floor. And so she wants to take advantage of that 3-point opportunity that she has in front of her, and she's doing so in droves. And to your point, like, 7 threes is great, but I feel like we still haven't unlocked the best version of Satou yet either.
Yeah, and just a slight stat correction. That's her 9th 20-point game as a Phoenix Mercury.
Which is crazy. Like, this is nuts.
To your point. Yep, to your point. It's not 8, it's 9. She is putting the ball in a basket. And it hasn't been her 3-point shot that's leading the majority of that over the course of this season. It's been very much her getting to the paint and scoring against mismatches and getting to the free throw line, especially the last 3 or 4 games, especially over that road trip where she's been like top 5 or top 6 in the league in terms of free throw attempts on a per game average in that stretch. The team is tough. I think that's probably the overarching point that I hope everybody kind of understands from the numbers that we kind of play with to provide context of what the team is doing in respect to the rest of the league. So everything we do with trivia to kind of make it fun, but also allow for you to learn with it, to the quotes that we're grabbing from players and coach as well, to the things that we're breaking down as far as what's going on a game-by-game basis on both ends of the floor. This team is a literal team. It's not a faction of a team. It's not portions. It's a comprehensive group. And they're all kind of moving on the same accord. Everybody's rising as one tide. It's not one piece and another. It's all as one. And it really feels like they're laying the foundation again for a team that's destined for special things to come this season.
I've talked to everybody about the parade, but I got to ask you one question, Stephen, and it's just honestly because I keep hearing it throughout the Valley. But side note, we got to get Noah on trivia because I'd absolutely spank him at that because he doesn't know anything. So it'd be amazing for my confidence.
Wow.
It would be amazing.
I would do so much research, honestly.
I think Noah is an all-time great guesser, and that would naturally just make you mad.
I would be so angry.
That is true.
I would be so angry.
Noah is great with context clues. He's a thinker. So I don't know if it'll be as much an advantage as you think it might be, but I would love for him to participate in Monday's episode to come.
Okay, maybe we need to get Damon on trivia. I need someone who I can really just show who's boss. You know what I mean?
Don't be running away from the smoke now.
I actually have a funny comment I could say, but I'm going to keep it to myself because it's not about our team. And, we're celebrating victories around here. So go nuts, Stephen.
I'll just say real quick before we transition from Satou. 7 threes is not her career high. She tied her career high. She actually knocked down 7 last season. Don't quote me on this part of it. It might have been against the Las Vegas Aces where she had about 35 points last season. I can look that up when I transition to Erika, but Satou is in a very special place as a basketball player right now as her skill development continues to rise with how she's thinking the game through. And it doesn't feel like she's doing as much thinking as it did in years past on the court, especially on the offensive end. It genuinely feels like she's just playing off of feel. And that's the kind of flow that you want any of your players to be playing in, but especially someone that's one of your best players on your team. Satou being able to operate in the ways that she is, knocking down threes in all types of contexts, coming off of staggers, shooting threes against switches, shooting threes in transition, shooting threes in isolation, catch and shoot opportunities. Any context that you can get a 3 up in, she's doing that with confidence and she's knocking it down at a clip that is going to start putting defenses on notice to have to give her more attention. And I imagine it's going to take a couple more games where she's knocking down 2 or 3 of the 7 or 8 attempts that she's taking on a game-by-game basis. But if a defense is taking steps closer to the three-point line for Satou, her bread and butter is made by getting downhill, putting the ball on the deck, and getting to the paint. And at that point, if you're at her mercy and she's able to kind of pull the strings of a defense like that, she's a player that can easily, I think, get up as close to 22 or 23 points a game, up from the 20 that she's kind of averaging on the season right now.
It was in 2023 versus the Indiana Fever.
Okay.
In a 110-point victory. Sound familiar, Mercury fans? That's nasty work, man. She's just out here putting the stompage on people with 7 threes.
Yeah. Yeah, she's special. And again, she did that in an abbreviated season last year as well. So that just speaks to where she is with her confidence in herself, the work that she's been putting in. And one thing about the work is it's going to show in some capacity when the lights are the brightest. And I feel like her knocking down 7 threes is not an anomaly. She might match 7 made threes again sometime by the end of this season. She might even one up that potentially. I think she has more than enough opportunity with this team and the way that they play and what her skill development is and her confidence to potentially get to 8. I think that's not out the realm of possibility for her in any capacity.
Well, and right now she's taking on average of 6, which is still higher than it was in that 2023 season. So it was definitely just a situation where she was the hot hand and they continue to feed her. So while that is kind of obviously what's been happening here in Phoenix because she has been the hot hand, it's, been by committee still. So I don't feel stressed about this Mercury team getting burnt out at all because at the end of the day, when Satou gets tired, all she has to do is pass out to Catherine Westbeld and she'll knock the shot down. Give her a chance.
Or Kid Loxa, or Sami Whitcomb, or Monica Cole-McConaughey.
The cheat codes, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. This team is in a very special space. I'll continue to say that, and it's all coming from the work that they're putting in with the intentionality, starting with the defensive end. All of the fun comes from their defense, the disruption that they play with, and it sets the tone for everything to come on offense.
Well, I think you have one more clip for us before we get out of here. Is that right? So
I think we might have one more from Nate. Let me see. Yes, we got one more from Nate where Nate is just speaking to just kind of where the team is and just kind of contextualizing tonight's win. He didn't necessarily hedge it in any capacity because he does feel like this was a very good win for them, but he just provided a little bit of context to a little bit of what New York has been kind of going through. And this just kind of speaks to me saying that they all weren't too high, but they definitely weren't low in any capacity either. So here's Nate just kind of speaking and providing a little bit of context to today's win over the New York Liberty.
I thought we were rested. They've been on a West Coast swing. They're a little beat up and injured. We came out and played.
I'm not tired at
hard.
all.
Thought in the first half our execution was fantastic. Our spacing was great. Our shooters got them up. We shared it. 30 assists is pretty impressive. It's a fun style of play. It's a great group to coach. I love every day being around them. It's just a lot of fun.
Just a lot of fun. I feel like it's probably the best way to cap things off because knocking down all the threes that they did. I also want to make sure that I don't know if you mentioned it already, but I believe they tied their franchise record for assists in the game with 30.
I think it's a new franchise record. So
is it the new franchise
I
record?
believe so.
Okay.
I
Okay,
made
well then there's that too.
the thumbnail of the video. So if it's not, that could be terrible.
But there's that too then. To be putting forth such efforts in a historic manner and putting it in tandem with the 3-point shooting and the 3-point makes, but also the team playing off of their defense. Very special space that the team is operating in again and again. Like Nate said, it's fun to be around them because you can feel the confidence growing, but the confidence is also coming with a solid bit of humility to keep things balanced out. They're not too far ahead of themselves. One of the old school sayings is don't get too big for your britches. They're definitely not too big for theirs. They're very, very much level-headed. And again, I think that speaks to the leadership component. Because if your leadership isn't in place, you'll be too high and then you'll be quickly met with some lows that'll lead to inconsistencies. But the fact that Alyssa Thomas comes into a post-game press conference, gets asked about another all-time great 3-point performance in the Mercury sense for the team, and then naturally tonight for the league being able to set that record. And she's just, it's pretty good. We still could have been better on defense, though. Like, that's just that not being settled with being really good. They're trying to be great and they're trying to sustain it, but they also accept the challenge that it's going to take to meet that level every single night.
Well, I feel like the only person with a big head right now is me. So I feel like that's the best place that the team could be. Me talking big words about the team on Twitter using, I don't know if you guys saw my manure strip button meme, but I love this team, man. They're in such a good spot. I don't think in my years of watching the WNBA this early in a season, I've been so confident in a team's ability to go far in the playoffs. This team is battle tested very early. I was saying it earlier in the chat, but I want the Lynx ASAP, no Rocky. Man, I need the rematch soon because the 2 losses from earlier in the season doesn't feel reflective of the Mercury team that is in front of us now. And it's not that they're different. It's just that they have gotten a lot better and to know each other a lot more. And to play it to the level that they're playing right now takes time and cohesion. And that's something that they've been able to find. And the 6 days of practice that they were able to have between the Sky game and this game today definitely helped with that. My confidence does nothing but grow more and more and more about this team. So I'm continuing to talk about the dang parade. I talked about me being the Grand Marshal earlier today. I speak no lies, man. This team has my confidence at an all-time high. So, you never know what's to come, and they have to play the Aces on Sunday. And I saw someone's comment about how, if they shoot the ball the way they did tonight, they're going to run the Aces out of the gym. And that's probably true, but you can never count a team with Asia frickin' Wilson out on it. So it's going to be a fun game on Sunday. They're giving away a Pride jersey. We have mentioned the All-Star game, but we didn't talk about All-Star voting. It's actually still a double vote day. You have another hour and 10 minutes to please get your votes in. I talked about it earlier in this pod season, but I do not want a Tosh Cloud 2.0 situation where she's so freaking clearly should be playing in the All-Star game and she's sitting in Cabo, where honestly everyone wants to be, but we want her to play in the All-Star game. We want them all to play in the All-Star game. So please cast your votes for the freaking All-Star game. It's very, very important. I do think that if the voters, the fan voters do the squad dirty, at the bare minimum, there are 2 Phoenix Mercury who the media voters and the coaches poll will pull in. But I need your guys' help. I'm going to make sure I spend the rest of my evening bullying Noah, Damon, Derek, all the people that are in PHNX Head HQ to drop their freaking ballot off at the WNBA website for their All-Star votes. And you don't have to vote for Nate for head coach. They just have to keep winning. That's all that they have to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to make sure I'm not lying on my rear end here, because that's my main agenda right now. I have a lot of agenda.
Just
AT
vote. Go vote.
MVP is the agenda of the year, but until
start
All-Star.
start with getting her in the All-Star game and
Correct.
being a starter, because there's no way that someone that is honestly, with each passing game getting closer and closer to being my personal MVP this season, there's no way that someone that's operating in that space should not be starting in the All-Star game. And to that point, for more context, Erika, Phoenix is 10-1 when Alyssa Thomas is in the lineup. 10-1. Just give that a moment, because for the people that do have the privilege to vote, what are we doing?
And one of the games
And
was
for all of the fans, that are voting, what are y'all doing? There's no way that Alyssa should not be starting in the All-Star game. She is, at this moment in time, the 1B to Nafisa Kahleah's 1A. Not 1 and 2, 1B to Nafisa's 1A for MVP right now. And honestly, at this point right now, in these last couple of games, nobody's playing better than Alyssa Thomas is on either end of the court.
Well, I think we've what's wrong, Matt? Noah, I almost called you Max. That's actually offensive. I do, I'm sorry about that.
I was just gonna say, you guys know the old saying, every time you hear a bell ring, an angel gets its wings?
Mm-hmm.
Well, every time you hear a bell ring from here on out, AT gets an all-star vote.
Ding that thing really, really hard. Like, ding, 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 ding. That's what I'm talking about. All right. I think...
No free ads, but that sounds like one of those TV shows. Y'all know exactly which one I'm talking about.
Oh, man. Yeah, she's getting snubbed from Western Conference Player of the Weeks, too. Don't worry. Holmes, that's definitely got our attention, but our All-Star is definitely top of our priority list right now. So, we'll bully some voters here in a short while. It's not just you guys that are getting bullied by our show. It's literally everybody that's not paying enough attention to this Phoenix Mercury team. Before you got on the show, I was literally bullying ESPN because why am I getting a notification 40 minutes after the game's ended about their record breaks? Like, shut up. Like, you're late to the game, brother. Like, you're so late. PHNX Sports needs to have a notification system, because we'd be way faster than that. That is another thing that's egregious today, Add it to the list.
Well, some of that might be games taking place at the same time and time again. So if that is an adversity that's in their way, I give them that. But outside of that, yeah, unacceptable. 40 minutes is ridiculous.
AT is the first player in WNBA history with 15 plus points, 15 plus assists, and 5 plus rebounds games in a regular season. Listen.
Not surprised.
We've been saying it for 2 weeks now. If you're not mentioning Alyssa Thomas, it's plainly not an MVP conversation. And in fact, I've seen quite a few of them go down in the last couple of weeks. So please watch yourselves on your timelines and keep your eyes peeled for that, because it's not an MVP conversation if you're leaving there out. And I know that this Phoenix
for more context to support this claim that we're making, she's missed 5 games and leads the WNBA in total assists. She's missed 5 games. They're barely past the quarter mark of the season right now. Season's only 44 games. She's missed 5 and still leads by a significant margin in total assists. Again, I've told our Mercury listeners since the trade happened that you all are spoiled rotten, actually.
She's at
Spoiled rotten.
104 now, right? Because she had 15 tonight. So she got 104 assists in 16 games.
To transition from Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner and all of that greatness to Alyssa Thomas with Kahleah Copper and Satou Sabali and everybody else that's a part of this team. You all are spoiled, and I hope y'all are appreciating this basketball greatness that you're able to transition to from era to era, because most franchises don't have such an immediate transition point. Obviously, this team has a lot of work to do to get to the ultimate goal that they have established for this season, but to have such an enjoyable transition point without having to wait a season to get back to the fun potentially, or multiple seasons, or never get back there at all, as some franchises have, or struggle to do so. You all are spoiled in the most complimentary way, and I hope y'all are appreciating this moment. Thanking the lucky basketball guys for putting y'all in this position that you all are in now to see this level of play that you're able to see after everything that Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner were.
I feel like luckily a lot of these people are Suns fans, so they're extra appreciative of the basketball being played before their very eyes right now.
Yeah. Very understandable if that is the case.
Well, Stephen,
I'll say that nicely.
Is there anything else that we haven't gotten to today before we get out of here?
I'll just say the way they're starting to in the their half court offense is starting to catch up with everything that their defense is doing as far as being disruptive, and the execution level that they're able to sustain over pockets of games. It's really starting to catch up with their defense, and the defense, like we've talked about, has been really leading the dance for them pretty much in the entire season long. But the fact that the offense is now starting to, like in the game today, the defense was really good, but it was the offense that kind of led the dance for them in this game in particular. The fact that they're in a space to where this can be happening on any potential game-by-game basis because of the talents that they have and the execution level, I'm telling you, this is something special that they're working with. And again, they have their work cut out for them. And I think each game and each opponent that they're going to be going up against is going to be presenting new opportunities, new challenges, new ways in which they can learn about themselves. They continue to just find ways to win each game. Each game is not the exact same process that's getting it done for them. You can say they knocked down 17 threes and then knocked down 18 today. Yes. But Saturday's game was very much the defense leading everything. That wasn't necessarily the case. It was a little bit more balanced in today's game, but I think the offense was maybe a half step or two ahead of the defense in this one. It's not the exact same way that they're doing it. Even the game against New York, the game prior to the win against Chicago, that was a game where the offense was just non-existent. So this is what I'm talking about. The teams that typically get to winning at the highest levels find multiple styles and ways in which they can go about getting wins. It's almost like a riddle for every single day. If someone gives you a riddle and it takes you a little bit of a while to solve it, do you actually get to solve it, or do you end up kind of being succumbed to it? They have hardly been succumbed to anything that their opponents are doing to them. And a lot of the losses that you and me have kind of detailed in looking at some of the weaknesses that have come up, it's largely been things that are kind of self-inflicted. The turnovers in particular is something that's really kind of crept up and hurt them. Little things like that, I feel like really is speaking to where this team is, where they're headed, and where they are at the moment. And that's a team that's quickly ascending in a literal sense up the ranks, but in a figurative sense, ascending in their own right towards where they want to be.
Yeah, this team is headed for special places. I tweeted about it earlier today. I really feel that way in my heart, man. This team feels, to Stephen's point, like a team just destined for greatness. And, you know, we've talked about the uniqueness of this particular WNBA season with the double expansion draft, CBA renegotiations. Next year is going to be absolutely chaos. I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about 10 new players literally at the same time next year and talking about cohesion and having very similar conversations to the ones we had a month and a half ago where we're talking about, again, all these new pieces. But this team has a really great opportunity to do something special with a lot of pieces that a lot of people counted out, and they're playing with that chip on their shoulder. And it's just, I think there's going to be a really fun couple of months for Mercury fans. Before we get out of here, I do want to make predictions for the Aces game. And a little bit of change here. We usually just give our wins, who's going to win, who's going to lose. I want a score prediction. I feel like it's kind of getting, since on the 6-game win streak, I don't want to get too big for my britches here, but I want to give us something else to edge each other out in case, the win streak continues.
Okay, go ahead and kick us off then.
Okay, I'm going Mercury win, and I'm going to go 93-78.
Okay. You want to go with a leading scorer too? You want to do a leading scorer?
Oh, yeah, I'll do a leading scorer, and the Aces, I'm going to go Satou again, actually.
Okay. So you got 93-75, you said?
93-78. Satou on top.
93-78 and Satou leading and scoring. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go 90. Let's go 91-79. I'm going 91-79, and the leading scorer is going to be Kahleah Copper.
Ooh, inject that into my veins.
I think Ka is chomping at the bit to really kind of get her footing on the offensive end in particular. And if you've been following Kahleah Copper over the course of her career, especially the last 3 to 4 seasons, you see there's a common denominator. There's a certain crop of teams that when she goes against these teams, she typically plays fairly well. One of those teams in that crop of teams that I'm speaking to is the Las Vegas Aces. And I think some of it is obviously when you're going up against one of the best teams, you want to play at your best. There's also some friendly competition there because there's multiple Team USA representatives in the mix with this, as well as players that have spent time together and are rivaled in. Players being brand mates. I'm not going no free ads, Max. I know you watching somewhere, but these players that are also mates of the same brand as far as their the teams that they're working with for shoe deals and things like that. There's a lot of friendly competition there. And it typically brings out the best in Kahleah. I think, again, she's really trying to force her hand at turning corners to get herself back into that true Kahleah Copper, best slasher in the league type of space. We're starting to see her get to there, and I think it's kind of building up some confidence for her. I think it's going to be one of those games for her against the Las Vegas Aces on Sunday.
Well, I really hope so, considering it'll be in front of the home crowd, and I'll get to stay the whole game this time. So I'll feel amped if that's the case, because I'll get to talk to Tom.
By the way, she was, as you would expect, she was very animated when speaking on the mic with Weezy post game.
Good. I'm disappointed I missed it. I won't lie, but I'm glad we were able to knock the show out of the park because I feel like this was a huge Mercury win, huge win for the show. We got, heck of live viewers in here, okay? Got a good amount, okay? Good amount of likes. Not good enough. If Kevin was the producer, he definitely would be losing sleep over it, but, you guys can improve that as time goes on, so be sure to leave a like on this video, 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Please don't forget to become a diehard. Listen, our diehards have even Noah, before our show today, was like, dang, your diehards are the freaking best. And I was like, dude, you're telling me? I know. I watch all the other shows. I see the verbal regurgitation they do in the other chats, man. It's a scary place sometimes, So I feel very blessed to have you guys bark, bark, bark as native Patchenden in the chat says. But yeah, bark, bark, bark. We keep the energy up on here. And then follow us on Twitter at @PHNX_Mercury. I've been saying it for like a week, but I seriously am on a generational run on that account. You cannot miss it. I put up a tweet today with a little button. And, one of them was manure strip. And one of them was 3-pointers. And, if you haven't been following the Mercury since the beginning, you really don't appreciate beginning of the season. You don't appreciate that manure strip comment. But man, the flame, the smoke, the dirt they threw on Nate Tibbetts' name over that comment, and then to watch everything play out the way it has, it's just been the icing, the cake, the cherry, the ice in the cup. You know, it's just been everything good about life. The grass is greener when life is working out the way this is. The air feels crisper. The sky is freaking bluer, you know?
The net is even more on fire.
Well, you can follow Stephen at StephenPG3. Noah, I have no idea what your username on Twitter is.
It's whatever they want it to.
It's his name, Noah Wilbrick. I think it's Noah Wilbrick 1, if I remember correctly.
Wow, way to out me, Steven. G show beat.
Hey, I ain't give you a nickname. I just gave everybody your Twitter at, so you're welcome.
It's okay. I literally have already. Oh no, Golly G. I was gonna say I've already forgotten the nickname, but I haven't. Mr. Golly G is joined the chat. Shout out to him for throwing the X's and O's, being our producer when Kevo is gotten too big for his britches. Turns out he's going to be seeing the Liberty and the Dream on Sunday. Who does he think he is? Going out of state and seeing another team. Like, dude hasn't even been to a Mercury game.
It's just, yeah, that's unacceptable. I'll leave that part for you. That he knows that's unacceptable. I would say though, at least he's on a mission to do multiple things while he's in Atlanta. So I'm looking forward to having him back next week and being able to get some live testimonials from him about his experience in Atlanta's arena.
I just know that the Wi-Fi in that Atlanta arena is really good.
What makes you say that?
It's tiny. Like, where, you know, like in Phoenix, like we have the concrete jungle, and like I'm fighting for my life to post things on the X app, as some of you may call it, in the most disgusting and derogatory way possible. But like, I'm waiting 40 minutes to upload a tweet. It's a hard knock life to be me sometimes. I got to be honest.
Yeah. Hopefully you sent that DM to Big Homie.
I did, and he hasn't responded to me. And I'm like, dude, this is the important one.
Sometimes he don't respond in a literal sense. He just responds with action, because he didn't respond to your last ask either.
Right.
In a message responding sense, but in a literal sense, it was very loud the way he responded.
Correct. So it's like, okay, I keep expecting to like walk in and they're like, oh, there's a new Wi-Fi password, and I'm like, he listened to me for a second time. Matt Ishby, if you know what's good for you, you'll listen to women in your life. And I am a loud woman. You would listen to me. I feel like it would win you a lot of arguments. It would just really work out best in your favor. So all I'm saying is I would just like to, all I want is my Mercury content to be able to go out at the most efficient rate possible. And I feel like, you know, Matt Ishby really cares about that. So if you're listening, you know, anyone important at the Phoenix Mercury, please. I'm practically on my knees begging, because it is really painful sometimes when I'm trying to post something and it doesn't go through. But nonetheless, you can follow me on Twitter at Erika Lee Day. And I'm going to say our username again, because again, generational freaking run, PHNX_Mercury on Twitter. You can give us a follow on there. Show schedule for next week. I'm coming at you live. I have it planned already. We've got this thing in the calendar. We got on Monday, 5:30 p.m. Thursday, post-game show. Do not miss it. Put it on your calendars right this second. And then anything else I'm forgetting? Oh yeah, one last thing. Vote for All-Star. I don't think I could bully you in any other way. You gotta vote for All-Star, man. And you gotta vote for Satou, Alyssa Thomas, Kahleah Copper. I know I get a lot of slack. I've gotten slack multiple times when I posted about voting for Ka, but listen, you just need to vote for Ka. And it's one of those times where it's like, oh, Erika's gonna chase me around with, I don't want to threaten on the show, so Erika's gonna chase me around with like her water bottle and like threaten to like throw water on you, you know? Maybe like a water gun, like the emoji. But nonetheless, like, do that or else someone is going to come after you. Kevin, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to threaten from me. I don't want the cops in my house. Nonetheless, thank you guys for all tapping in with us. Be sure to leave a like, thumbs up, whatever else, and we will see you guys on Monday at 5:30 p.m. Thank you.
Like the mayor.